Hi everyone, we always start with a weekly update at the beginning of the week, and we will be starting a new monthly candle, and those are always very exciting. So today we are looking at, good morning and welcome to Benzinga's Moneyball Morning Report. My name is Anne-Marie Band, sorry to rush right into things. Here we are, sitting inside of last week. We may have a consolidation week here, right, which would be kind of yucky, but dips are clearly still buys. We've got a little flattening, so our dips could be sizable, so we have to watch out. All right, as we close into the daily, we can see that we are underneath Friday's low, trying to recapture it. That's going to be a number we want to keep our eyes on. And of course, with lower highs and a lot of consolidation here, we know the buyers are going to try and come in here and dip on these edges. As we go to the 1 hour chart, we know that our favorite things to draw are the opening range and the Europe open, and those are on top of each other with the Europe open inside of the open of the candle. And so that tells us that Europe tried to break through at that opening tick, but really the high was almost the high of the day. So we should see further moves down into here. My target was that we broke this edge, and now that we've broken that edge, we need to look past to see where we are in other areas that might give us some support. To me, that looks like around and about here, where we started to lift. And we should remember that 5773 area, it is very, very sticky. A lot of buyers are thinking that's a floor, and it will be a floor until it isn't, but as it sits, bounces are still sell zones underneath the VWAP, underneath the hull, both of those with negative formations. And so we will look at these lower edges into potentially 5761 as our lower edges. It is a buy the dip formation. However, intraday range says that the dip is still continuing. Let's take a look at the NQ. All right, let's start. Let's say goodbye to all of these. We're going to draw brand new lines today until we need them. Oops, you know what I forgot to do, friends? Forgot to draw the pre-market value area high-low. So let's draw that Fibonacci. Value area high for what? Well, let's see if that value area, we'll wind it up just a little bit. Value area high to value area low. We're going to flip it upside down because we are looking at the lower edges trying to help us with support action. All right, let's go to the NQ. Back to the NQ. It's been a weekend, folks. All right, so here we are inside of last week. Just the same, the value area is quite large for the weekly chart, but I am going to draw a line at the, no, I don't need to draw a line at the POC. We see it down there. This one is not faring nearly as well, of course, as the ES. For the daily formations, we can see just like the ES, we have a series of lower highs and lower lows coming into heavy congestion. The line near 19,966 and a quarter looks like a floor, so it could be a good support area to either position in along a couple of ticks, a couple of points above that. But when it hits that area, we've got this low wick all the way down at 867. So that's the do or die, 966. All right, upward formations. I don't really think we see them because I think we're in consolidation stage, but we'll put it up there at 20,538. Let's jump to the 1 hour. We know that our important areas are the 1 hour open and the 4 a.m. close. Again, the same weakness. Europe not able to lift the NQ, and we are in the lower edges. Let's draw that Fibonacci. As we know, pre-market action, that Fibonacci becomes, whoops. Let's not do that, shall we? Let's try it again. Pre-market action shows that Fibonacci as pretty, wow, my brain, I better make sure that I not trade for the first hour or so. My brain is liquid mush. Okay, so we go top to bottom of the value area, and we can see that we're coming right into these. They love testing that 1.618 pre-market. It's one of their go-tos for the value area high-low, and they meaning big traders that are trying to move the market. Notice it bounced right at the zone, but sellers are in control at these higher levels. So I would wait until about 20,228 to position a short. If you want to take the long, I'd be very careful here because we are sitting at the base of the opening range candlestick. And so sellers are going to try and come in there. That's a little bit of a coin toss in terms of which way we want to go. All right, let's say bye-bye. Big week back there. Let's take a look at the weekly. Inside of last week, right? Below the close of last week, very big value area high. It's moved tremendously. The YM has moved like no other index in the last couple of weeks. It's really roared. As we slip to the daily, we can see consolidation at the breakout. So it's the do or die here. If, pardon me, we don't bounce off of 42,537, we are looking at the lows of these prior days, 42,233, and then into the initial breakout zone of, what shall we say that is? Somewhere around value area high, 41,670 or so. Let's flip to the 1 hour. Let's do our value area Fibonacci. We are sitting right inside the zone. I anticipate that this is going to move in the general direction, but it is sitting at this, is this a 50? Yes, it is sitting at the 50 on the hourly and coming into relative support. Let's take a look at where our opening range candlesticks are, as well as 4 a.m. Everyone's telling us the same thing. Europe tried to get us out of this mess, but they could not. And so I see downward pressure into the support zones, just in case the powers that be send us back to the north. I've drawn the upper edges on the Fibonacci. All right, and you can see those lines going up there. I would look for Friday's closing VWAP also as a test because it's right up there at the value area high, 42,741. At this point, we are still trying to find a floor. My thought is that it is the POC, so I see continued downside action in that direction. I'll also put 42,491 as that zone. Let's hop to SPY. Good gravy. Let's get rid of these. Boom. All right, there we go. SPY, look at that. Above Friday's high. People are piling in, right? Although Bank of America did say that among high equity holders, there was the biggest outflow into cash that they'd seen in a while. It was something like 130 billion. But, you know, very oftentimes when things go like this, they just run until they exhaust. And that's what I'm thinking we have. I'm thinking we have a blow off top coming towards us. Here we are on the daily. Interesting. The high of the close of last week. We just lost it. Here we are inside of this big fat range, something else that tells me we're going to consolidate. And even though it is by the dip, we are very far from the 50. Notice what happens when we buy the dip. Very hard from the 50, very high from the 50. Not usually a good thing. So let's anticipate that this is going to be fade action unless, and of course, we breach 572, at which point, you know, let's see where the Fibonacci sends us to from a value area high formation. You can see underneath the covers, we can see that the price action is really also fading and slipping into heavy congestion. Now, as you know, these guys like to use the 1.5 to 1.618 as their floor. So that might be a solid first buy zone at 569. We'll see what happens here. They really are desperately trying to hold the edge. We do take a look at our 4 a.m. candlestick formation, where the volume starts really clicking in. And you can see that that is the high of the day as such. So we want to watch out. If we get past 571, we'll get to 572. And in the way is all of this POC. So very messy price formations. Don't really love any of them, but they are telling us what my supposition is, which is general consolidation. All right, start again with the weekly. What I'd like for you to do is sort of try and focus on this as the way you come into the charts. You see a big look, and then you can pull out and see what's going on. For the weekly formation, as it begins, we're above the high of last week. We even tested the high of last week, but still not at our all-time highs. And so we got to keep an eye on that, realizing that this whole pattern is very likely consolidation. This could be an incredible expansion to the upside, but who's to say? Everybody's rushing into China stocks. My thoughts are with you, unless you get out in a hurry. And yeah, so what are we seeing? We're seeing a curve here in the stochastic. So lower highs, lower lows, bounces or sell zones. Very mixed bag though, because although we are under the hull still has upward slope. And so what it tells us when this happens is a likely bounce into resistance is on the way that could give us a very clean short with very low risk. All right, so we'll look at that 490 to see how it goes, and we'll see what happens from there. All right, let's get to the 1 hour chart. Let's draw our value area high low before I forget. Our Fibonacci to the upside, Fibonacci to the downside, because it's a messy patch. And now what we want to see is, where did that 4 hour candlestick open up? Wow, you know, there's a lot more room on that 4 hour, but still it's presenting as the high of the day. That's going to be a great area for us to consider either a short or breakaway long trying to recover. The 50 is above us, negative formations on the tight moving averages, and in an overall buy the dip formation, it means it's a mixed bag. So trade small size today and be content with little things that come your way. Don't be heavy-handed here. All right, last thing, we have a little bit of time for oil. Very interestingly, a lot of shenanigans going on in the oil-rich area of the world, besides us, of course. And we're going to see this opening zone very wide, keeping us inside of a range. 2 a.m., 3 a.m. Oops, nope, here's our 4 a.m. So very likely we head back into these zones. Now, as you know, oil doesn't open up at those specific times, but certainly these are areas that I find to be very interesting for oil. Let's do the value area high low. Do you see how tight it is? This price action is coiling. We just tested, oh my goodness sakes alive. I gotta tell you, I am, okay, there we go. The value area high low, certainly giving us the range, but these Fibonacci's doing a really great job of telling us where things are going. Listen, if we recover here, and we could because of news, watch for the acceleration back up into the 70 zone, right? 71 seems to be that clip. And of course, nobody wants high prices going into the election. All right, everyone, good luck. I'll see you on the streams. Internet back. Things are settling out. So I'm really looking forward to the midday Moneyball report for the Benzinga Pro players. Take care.